In this recording, I'm going to talk about the government announcement where they've doubled first home buyers grants in Queensland from $15,000 up to $30,000. My name is Adam Panisi. I do these videos to help you own and buy your own investment properties and do property development, anything in that property space. So I'm going to jump in and have a look at what the Queensland government has just announced and how you can get involved in this if you are a first home buyer, but also what it's going to mean for the market moving forward. So the changes came into effect on the 20th of November 2023. They go until the 30th of June 2025. That's assuming the government doesn't extend it after that, and they normally do in previous circumstances. And applications can be lodged, or you can expect to lodge from January 2024, which means that it's in effect right now. So if you want to buy a property right now, you can lodge for the application in January of next year. So I'm going to jump into the eligibility criteria in a second and show you how you actually can apply or how you are eligible for this. But let's have a look initially at the Queensland Cabinet and Ministry Directory. This was the statement just released not long ago on Sunday the 19th at 12:52 p.m. So the day prior before it came into effect on the 20th. And if we jump to a couple of different things, but the main one I want to point out is over the last 3 years, the Queensland government has supported more than 24,000 households in their first home through $365 million of grants. So that is the grant at what it is now, $15,000. We go and double that, assuming that the rate is going to be the same, where we as a Queensland government are going to be putting out a similar amount, $365 million in grants, in probably the next 18 months because the amount has doubled. So it's pretty crazy stuff, and we're going to be spending close to $400 million as a government. Just some other things I want to point out as well, and how much they've actually propped up that first home buyer market. And if you have already taken advantage of this, fantastic. You should use that as leverage to then buy more property. If you are getting in on your first property now, this is a fantastic time to do it. And if you do it over the next 6 months, maybe 12 months, you'll get in before the masses. But ideally, you want to be doing it now, straight after they've actually announced it, and the market with new properties is actually quite subdued all around Australia in most areas. But there's definitely a lot of opportunity in Queensland to take advantage of this, and a lot of Queensland markets are actually ripe for the picking in terms of market cycles. So if you jump onto this as a first home buyer, you'll probably be pleasantly surprised in the next couple of years how much equity you've got. So just one thing I want to point out with this article is how much money the government is pumping into housing infrastructure and all the rest of it. So you can see $5 billion into social and affordable housing, as you would have heard in the news. You got $1.525 billion over 5 years for social housing supply and homelessness support. So they are pumping a lot of money into the housing for Queensland, and affordable housing at that. And I'll let you read the rest of those. But just on first home owners grants and the breakdown of those, you can see how many grants and how much these were worth, where the breakdown is. So you got Brisbane and Redlands, 9,000 grants, 1,400 grants in Central Queensland, 2,500 grants in Far North Queensland, 5,000 grants on the Gold Coast, 6,000 in Ipswich, 7,000 in Logan, 7,000 in Moreton Bay, 5,000 on the Sunshine Coast, 2,000 in Townsville, 2,500 in Wide Bay. So there's a lot of different grants. Not a lot of different grants, it's a lot of grants, and you can see the areas where those grants have actually gone to. So if you have a look at the key areas where most of these grants have gone, you've got Brisbane and Redlands as the top, and then you have a look at the surrounding areas. So you've got Ipswich, Logan, Moreton Bay as the front runners, and then you've got Sunshine Coast, and there was also a Gold Coast in there as well. That was a bit higher, this one above. So you've really got Southeast Queensland sucking up most of those grants, because that is where the first home buyers, that's where the population base is for Queensland. So let's jump to the eligibility criteria. So you've got to be 18 years old. Actually, before I jump to this, let's jump back and have a look at the eligibility in a short form. So the property's got to be worth less than $750,000, including land. So house and land. You must be 18 years old. You must not have lived in the property, or it's not sold as a place of residence at the time of completion. In other words, nobody's to be lived. The property isn't to be lived in when you're buying it. Otherwise, it's not new. It's secondhand. It can be a house unit, duplex or townhouse, or a granny flat on a relative's block of land, which is pretty cool. I've not ever seen that before. So if you want to build a granny flat at the back of your parents' place and claim the first home owners grant, you can. Or you want to build the flat at the back of another relative's house. I think that's a pretty good incentive for young people to jump into the market. Especially you don't have the cost of land, but just remember you are adding value to your parents' or that other relative's house. You don't own the land that the property sits on. So if it was me even just jumping in, I would want to own the land because it's the land that appreciates in value. It's not the building. The building actually depreciates. So the home has to be or can be moved from one site to another, including kit homes or modular homes. So they're allowing that. They're allowing manufactured home park homes, and they're also allowing substantially renovated homes. Now, for a substantially renovated house, normally that means pretty substantial renovations, like big structural renovations. So if you are renovating a house, don't think you're just going to give it a lick of paint and claim the first home owner's grant. You need to do substantial works to it. So basically remodel the entire house. And that's how you can qualify. So you can get a new home, as you can see below, off the plan purchase, substantial renovation, contract to build, so that's like a house and land package, or just buy the land and contract your own builder. It doesn't really matter. Or you can even go as owner builder as well. So they're making it, or they're keeping it pretty open for basically anything that's new as a first home buyer, which means that we're going to really encourage first home buyers back into the market. Now, I did just say this last week that I'm waiting for the government to bring in an incentive to supply more affordable housing into the market because they do it every single cycle. So with this eligibility criteria, it does only limit it to first home buyers, and as you can see, certain types of properties, which are new properties, but we need more properties into the market. We need that supply. So now this is the eligibility criteria from the QRO website. I'm just going to scroll up and show you where I am. So eligibility for first home owner grant, just to take you through some more details. So you need to be 18. You need to be an Australian citizen or New Zealand. You need not have any previous grants. Pretty much makes sense. You can't own a home previously. It's not for an investment property. You do have to live in the property. Normally it's for 12 months. So there's the requirements. So you need to live in it for 1 year and live there continuously for 6 months You must move into the brand new home as your principal place of residence within 1 year and live there continuously for 6 months. You can rent out one or more rooms in the home during your 6 months residency period, as long as this arrangement doesn't affect the use of your home. So you even rent out a room or two to help you cover the mortgage. However, renting out rooms in the first year after you move in may affect your eligibility. May affect it if you're getting cash on the side. It's not going to affect it because nobody knows, but I didn't say that. Even though the residence requirements for the grants are similar to those used for first home concession, the grants and concession are separate benefits. So even when you're a first home buyer, you also get stamp duty exemption as well. So you don't have to pay any stamp duty on the transaction, and the government's giving you $30,000. So if you take both of those into account, you're circa $50,000 ahead as a first home buyer. So it's pretty substantial. So you're going to move in the home within 1 year, and you've got to live in it for more than 6 months. And then you've got some other things, eligibility transactions, which is what I just mentioned. It's going to be a new home off the plan, purchase, substantial renovation, contract to build, so having a building contract, a contract with a builder. The home has to be new. It gives you some examples down here. You can jump on this web page, just search for it. You can read, what are the eligibility criteria for this. Now, we can help you out with this as well. I am a property developer. I do my own property development deals. We sell a lot of stuff off market before it actually hits the market. So we do have a lot of property coming to market that is under this $750,000 exemption eligibility criteria. So we can do deals with people. In actual fact, we can even get you into the property with virtually no deposit as well. So if you take into account how much the government is chipping in towards stamp duty and towards now this first home buyers grant, you pretty much can get into a property for virtually no deposit, even like less than $10,000 on a $700,000 property. It's absolutely crazy. and it's going to be cheaper than renting if you can rent out, a room or two, even with mortgage rates the way they are and rents the way that they're soaring as high as they are. So I think it's a great opportunity for young people or for first home buyers to get into the market. Now, one thing I just want to highlight, so that's the good news. I'm going to share a bit of bad news with you, or bad, good, however you look at it, if you're not a first home